Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number one in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
There we go, boys and girls. You know what time it is. It's time for Tiger Club Radio. I'm your host, Critical Failure. What is up? Man, oh man, got some good games this week. I got some good game time in, which is so rare that I get to take a break from the grown-up hustle to really be a kid again and play some games. And I really had some awesome time to do that. So we're going to dig into that, as well as some great sales that are just around the corner, and a little of this, a little of that. But to start, let's head over to Chip Music. Chip Music. Wow, I'm a step behind. We're heading over to Battle of the Bits. Battle of the Bits, boys and girls. We're gonna see what we got. We're gonna pull something fresh off the charts. By the way, if you're a supporter, keep your ear to the ground for the chiptune review. It's gonna be every chiptune you've heard on Tiger Claw Radio for the last month plus, compiled into a chiptune special. That's a thing that I'm working on now. Little gift for the supporters. Anyway, let's kick things off with a little chiptune from chipmusic.org. Stick with us. You're listening to Tiger Club Radio. like that. Okay, so that came from battleofthebits.org. It's .org, right? Yeah, battleofthebits.org. Now, on their Bandcamp page, the way they do it is the most recent release is free. Everything else costs some of that cheddar. So the most recent release is called Puke 40. Puke equals 40. And it's an 8-track release. And that one is from Pettit. The name of the song is The Filtry of Life. So it's not the longest release in the world compared to some of the other stuff from Battle of the Bits, but it's a compact little mixtape with some good stuff. So there was a promotion on GOG.com this past week. Hey, if you pick one of these 3 games, now vote for the game. That's what it was. Vote for one of these games, and whichever one is the winner, that's the game you get for free. And I talked about this with Alex Swingle, and the choices were Firewatch, Super Hot, and Shadow Warrior 2. And he was like, Swingle was like, Shadow Warrior 2 is the only option. That's what you got to go with. So I was like, okay. So we picked it, and it won, and so we got Shadow Warrior 2 for free, and on GOG.com. It was free for about 48 hours, something like that. So I was able to sit down with Swingle today and play Shadow Warrior 2 so we played it for about 2 hours, and I fell in love with it, man. It was so good. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Like, it kind of sucks that Swingle isn't here right now, because we were playing through it cooperatively, and I don't want to spoil it. I want to play it more, but I don't want to go ahead on my own and spoil it. I want us to be able to play at the same time. So it was really good. A lot of shooting, a lot of silly, self-aware humor. He wasn't a big fan of the story. He thought the story was nonsense, but serviceable just to get you out in the field. But I thought it was fun, Story doesn't matter too much. It just has to be enough so that it's clear. This is where you're supposed to go. This is the motivation. And that was clear. So, as far as I'm concerned, it did its job, and it was a good time. So that is a really good game on GOG.com that I have been enjoying. It was good enough that when the sale season gets here, I mean, you guys know, we're only a few weeks away from Halloween, where there'll be a big Halloween sale, and then another month of Thanksgiving sale, and then another month after that, a Christmas sale. And these sales are going to be applicable to anywhere you buy games. So even if you're a console dude, I'm sure they're going to have something. When those sales come around, I'm going to find and acquire the first Shadow Warrior remake game as well, because I'm kind of shocked how good this is, and how good it runs as well. My machine is... I'm running a 750 Ti, GTX 750 Ti, a couple generations old, like I always say. Some of these, especially the first-person shooters, some of the modern first-person shooters really chug on it. Like Doom really chugs. But this is, medium graphics, runs smooth as silk, and it looks great, and I really dig it. So that was Shadow Warrior 2. All right, boys and girls. So you know what time it is. I've only got one Vancast this week. The rest is going to be all in the studio. Just you, just me, and this here setup, and we're going to talk about some video games. But first, let's get in the Wayback Machine. Benji, if you'd be so good as to crank that thing back to, I don't know, we'll say last Monday or Tuesday, sometime early in the week. And let's just see how it goes. You guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Stick with me.
It's Monday morning, it's the Vancast. I got a question for you. Have you ever played a video game that was so bad it just put you off video games altogether? Well, that was me this morning. I played this PS2 game that I ordered a while back. Well, I'll tell you what. Just taking a quick step back. Over the past couple months, I've been playing Magic the Gathering. I've been really enjoying it. It's kind of a resurgence for me, something I used to be into many years ago that I got back into again. Playing with my son, so we got a hold of some of these cards, and I started sniffing around looking at some of the other trading card games. I got some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I got something called Card Fight Vanguard, just looking around to see what else is out there. And that includes video games. Got some Yu-Gi-Oh Game Boy games. played some vintage or Magic the Gathering games. Just checking out what's out there in the trading card game world. And I came across a game for the PlayStation 2 called Bakugan, which looked like a card battler kind of game. Bakugan for the PS2. And it was like $2.50 shipped. All right. I think this was, if I remember right, I think this was one of those low ball bids where it was just like, I would pay this much for that. And I threw out the low bid and nobody else bid on it, so I just ended up with it. So it came in the mail, and I was like, all right. So I got this card battler game. It came sandwiched between a couple of other games I was more interested in. This was like at the same time I got Jack X Racing, which I really liked. And I also got Ratchet and Clank, which is pretty cool. So Ratchet and Clank, Jack X Racing, and this Bakugan game. That's my stack of them, my three most recently acquired PS2 games. So I put Bakugan in this morning, and it was so bad. It just it put me off of video games altogether. I put it in, and it was like, all right, we're gonna start things off with an unskippable anime. Once upon a time, cards were falling from the sky, and we made up a game. And the cars had monsters. I was like, all right, I get it. It's a kid's game. That's fine. Let's just get through this, and we'll check the game out. At least if it has a good core mechanic, I can get down with it for a little while. All right, we're gonna go to the tutorial now. We're gonna show you how to battle. Are you ready to learn how to battle? I was like, all right, fine. It's 5:30 in the morning. I can roll with this. Maybe there's a good game under here. And I was like, okay. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna throw a rock in the air. Use the stick to guide the rock. Wait. So this is we're like throwing stones? I thought this was a card battler game. Okay. Now these robots are gonna fight each other. Okay, so it's like a RoboPit kind of game? Okay! Now you can just pick the right symbol and the pinwheel as fast as you can. Wait. So it's like I'm picking out symbols? What kind of game? What? Like I couldn't decide what kind of game it was, and each iteration that I thought it was going to be was more terrible than the next. And eventually I reached a threshold where it was like, I'm not enjoying this. There's no way this is going to turn around and suddenly be a good game. I should pull out of this and pretend I never saw this game. But again, it was 5:30 in the morning. I was really tired. I was like, you know what? It's less work for me to just sit here and roll with it. So let's give that a try. And it didn't get better. It sure didn't. That was Bakugan, the card battler game, which actually turned out to be, here's a symbol of a pinwheel symbol of colors. Select the colors that match your color as quick as possible to win. That's what it boiled down to, with lots of unskippable anime. Because if there's one thing I like in my video games, it's unskippable anime. Oh man. I'm like sitting in the quiet of my car driving to work, just trying to process what just happened on my TV screen. I had this moment where I was like, maybe I should just buy an old school like set of bunny ears, like an antenna, so I can just turn on like the news or something instead of video games. It just like put me off interactive entertainment as a whole for a little while. And it's not the first time that a game has done this. One other game I can think of that did this was football on the Atari 2600. My first go-round with the Atari years ago when I started buying up the games, I had a great time with the Atari. I was really getting to know it for the first time. And I think I got that game from Maximum RD, a.k.a. Rob. He sent me a copy of Pitfall with a couple other games packed in. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get rid of these, so I'm throwing these in there as well. Nicest thing you could do. And one of the games was football. So I was like, all right, let's check out what football was like on the Atari 2600. And whatever that game was, it certainly wasn't football. I mean, And that was one of those, it was like, they were really reaching on the Atari to try and make it what it was supposed to represent. And I just couldn't make the connection. Not only could I not make the connection, but the whole idea of suspension of disbelief was just severed for me for a while. I took all my Atari stuff, rounded it all up, I put it in a drawer, and I shut the drawer, and it stayed there for like 5 years. So we have football for the Atari 2600 and Bakugan for the PS2 in the Hall of Shame as the worst video games I've ever played in my life. People talk about the worst. People like to say E.T.'s the worst. No. I want you to play football for the Atari 2600 and then immediately afterwards play Bakugan for the PS2. Play those two things inside of a half an hour, and by the end of it you can be like, man, I just want to read. Give me like a book. I'll read a book. I don't need any of this video game nonsense. In other happy recent memories, I got a cardboard box that I keep all my Game Boy stuff in. And I got that out this weekend, and I sat down on the carpet in a circle with my kids, and they really dug into the box. This is something I've talked about wanting to do several times in the show, but I really did it this weekend. Got out on my Game Boys. I was like, hey kids, take a look at these. And they both dug it. My son picked up the Game Boy Color and was trying different things for it, and my daughter picked up the Game Boy Advance SP, and she was trying different things for it. And I had like the old DMG, the old Game Boy Brick, the original Game Boy. And then we had this big communal cardboard box of games. And there was enough stuff in there that everybody, could just try whatever they wanted. It was fine. There wasn't any sort of, I want this game and he wants it too, so we're going to fight over it. No, it was great. I had a really good time. My son locked on Dr. Mario. That's what he settled with. And my daughter really wanted to play Pokemon Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance. But she is only 4 years old, so she can't read yet. But she's really trying. And I can't even remember what I was playing. I think I was trying to get the Game Shark to work. I've got a Game Shark for the original Game Boy that I bought at MagFest one year, and I never got it to work. So I was trying to get Infinite Lives and Elevator Action for the Game Boy. I got the Game Shark to boot up, which I'd never done before, but it wouldn't accept the code, man. So I don't know, but that was kind of fun. Played some Elevator Action. Man, what else did I play? Oh yeah, I got out my copy of the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Color, which, by the way, that game is really cool. That is an awesome game. I bought that game like several years back, and I put about 10 hours into it according to my save file. But what was funny was, I looked at my save file. I was like, hey, we'll just look through my old deck and we'll see if I recognize anything. We'll just see if I can remember anything from my save file. And there's one part in the game where when you build your deck, you get to name your deck. You can come up with a special name. This is the Dominator, or this is a triple attack or something like that. You can give your deck some sort of name, and it lets you manually type it in. And it also gives you a good amount of characters. Like you can really use like 20 characters or so on this thing, or more. And apparently my deck that was named a large string of obscenities, which I discovered when I was sitting in a circle with my children. So they were just looking at Game Boy, and then suddenly Dad starts laughing hysterically. They're like, "What's up, Dad? What do you see?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it." That was kind of a cool moment that happened this weekend. Finally, this morning, I decided to do some research on X-Link Kai, which we've been talking about for the past month or so. I got a nice big Ethernet cable. I went to download the software this morning, and I'm going to need to figure out port forwarding. It requires port forwarding, and of course it does. It seems silly to think it wouldn't. Because essentially what it's doing is it's a piece of software that fools your Xbox or your PlayStation 2 into thinking it's playing over a LAN. And it does this using the same method, a very similar method that old Hamachi used to use. Hamachi was a VPN software that was commonly used by people to play online video games. People who didn't have access to their router would get Hamachi, and then their friends would get it as well. They'd get inside of a VPN, and then they could play certain video games online this way. Terraria was played online with Hamachi in its early days. If you played Terraria back when it came out, so that's what Excellent Kai is. It's like Hamachi for the PlayStation 2. So I think I'm finally going to take the leap and get port forwarding sorted out. Which, by the way, I've read up on port forwarding before, years in the past. I'm aware that it's the simplest thing in the world. It's just like, okay, this is the port. You dial into your, put in the URL for your router. It gives you an options menu, and you pick out the incoming port, and that's it. And then you give that port to your friends, and then you're all set. I know it's simple. I just have my phone. There we go. So that was my weekend. So now is the weirdest part. I honestly don't know how I'm going to handle this. I like to end these things by saying, hey, what would I play if I was back at back in the Panzer Studios? And I don't have a game title, but I do know that it would be very important for me to get this Bakugan out of my head. Get this, like, video games ruining video game off my palate. It's like when you eat bad food, the first thing you want to do is spit it out and then maybe drink some water. I would have to have a game that would be the water in this situation. My mind immediately is going to Halo 2, because Halo is like it's one of these catch-all games that most people know. Even if you're not an Xbox guy, most people who, PC guys or whatever, will know what Halo is. I got into Halo 2 almost 6 months ago. For the Cartridge Club was doing the original Halo, and that was the closest I could come. And I remember really playing Halo 2 along with the Cartridge Club was something I really enjoyed. I might fire that back up again and then try and cleanse the palate a little bit. Hey man, just remember that the video games are good. It's just something that makes you feel good. They're not all Bakugan. There's some good games out there. That's what I would do. Something I could play and put external music on, right? Put on like a record and play Halo 2. I got a copy of Raw Power from Iggy and the Stooges this past week. Busy season was ending at work. I wanted to treat myself to something nice, so I bought a nice record. So it would be cool to listen to Raw Power and play Halo 2. I think that would be my morning if I was able to just go home. And with that, boys and girls, I'm going to send you back to Panzer Studios. I'll see you guys there.
Okay, back again in Panzer Studios. All right, boys and girls. This is the part of the show I like to set aside some time to thank the patrons. It's a Patreon-sponsored show. These guys give their resources, and they keep the lights on. So what I can offer the supporters is a couple of things. They get access to some supporter-only podcasting. I do something called the After Party, which I try to put out monthly, but it's been a couple months since the last one came out. I recently revived Kill Your Mind, which is a rock and roll podcast that I used to do years ago, as well as some other stuff. They get the podcast a little bit early. As soon as I get it done, I throw it up on Patreon, they get it. They get the early access, and they also get their names read off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen. They are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and the Cartridge Brothers. Thank you guys very much for supporting, and I hope you guys are. I hope you guys are enjoying the after party and Kill Your Mind and all that stuff. And I hope you're getting your money's worth. I hope you feel like you're getting your money's worth. And that's really it. That's really all I got to say about that. I just putting forth the extra effort to make sure that that you guys are getting some good bonuses, good goodies. And with that, let's return to the Puke 40 release that's available right now on battleofthebits.org. So here's another one from Pettit. And it's called the Nostalgia Waltz. It's a little bit short at 1 minute and 40 seconds, but I like it because it reminds me of TurboGrafx 16 music. Not in chip, not the chip that was used on the song, but just the composition itself. It sounds a lot like the PC Engine tracks of yesteryear. All right, stick with me. It's not a clean sound by any stretch of the imagination. It's very chippy, very chippy. But I like that. I really do. I gotta say this little Puke 40 release, it's growing on me. It's got some good tracks. I think it might be neat to hook up a tape deck and actually get that set up on a cassette. I think that'd be fun. All right. Speaking of old music formats, I made it out to the used bookstore with my wife just yesterday, just last night, and we were looking around at stuff. And they have a little shelf there where there's some games, and above that shelf is another little shelf where there's typically some game guides. You know, those old Prima strategy guides. And every time we go to the used bookstore, I just sweep by there and take a look. I've gotten good things from that shelf multiple times. The last time I was there, I got Twisted Metal 2 for like $2. I can't believe it. And that was beyond awesome. And there was nothing there on that shelf this time. Just a lot of copies of The Sims 2. What else? A lot of old PC software CDs. Nothing really playable. So that's okay. So I was just hanging out in the used bookstore. I drifted over to the records. A lot of records in this place. And something has happened. I'm not exactly sure how, but their inventory exploded since the last time I'd been there. Particularly when it comes to 45s. Now, they had 45s for a quarter a piece. And I walked out of there with 40 of this big spindle of 40 little 45 records. And I set them up. I sat them down next to my record player today. Started cleaning them off and listening to them. And now some of these look like they've been chewed up. Well, to be more accurate, they look pretty scratched up. But it's the funny thing about records is that I've seen records where they look like they wouldn't play at all, and they play just fine. right? And there's also ones that look pristine with no scratches or anything, and then they skip consistently. So I was able to go through some of those today, and I got a lot of I like to look for Motown when I'm looking at records. So I got some Gladys Knight and the Pips, and I got some the Platters, and I got the Commodores, which I don't know if you really call them Motown, but I was thrilled to acquire the Commodores as well as Earth, Wind, and Fire on vinyl, even if only little singles, which is pretty awesome. I kind of feel like it would be neat to make some sort of a supporter special with those. Make some vinyl rips of classic tunes with that warm pop sound of old vinyl damage. Not the skipping, because nobody likes the sound of skipping, but there's sort of a crackly sound when you've got an old record that plays that I like. So, also today I sat down with none other than Alex Swingle, which was pretty cool. We got about an hour for the Monster Cast. Now, Swingle was the key. He was the last scion. And now this thing can come out. I've got all my my segments leading up to Mr. Swingle all edited and ready to go. I just need to do a little intro and chain them together. Maybe record a couple of segues. Bada boom, bada bing. We're in the Monster Cast, boys and girls. Now this is an 8-hour pod. Is it going to be 8 hours? It's probably not going to be 8 hours. The old one was 8 hours. It's going to be more than 5 hours long. This is a long-form, huge marathon podcast, and it's got all your favorites in it, all the boys, lots of stuff. I got Jerry freaking Terrifying, which I'm super excited about. We recorded this in 2017, and I miss doing podcasting with him. So make sure you stick around next week for Monster Cast 2. It's something I've been talking about doing for years, and it's finally going to happen. Those of you listening on Podomatic, it's not going to be available on Podomatic, because last time I did this, I put it up there, and it snapped my bandwidth limit right in half. And I exceeded the bandwidth limit, and it just crashed my Podomatic page altogether. So it'll be available on YouTube, and it'll go up on the archive, archive.org, where I have the Tiger Claw Radio archive. It'll go up there right away as well. And then I'll make sure to film or tape some little thing that I can put up on Podomatic saying, "Hey guys, the Monster Cast is out. Here's a link. Go check it out." But Monster Cast, it's got Hemrock, it's got Swingle, it's got Darabka, it's got Kaiser, it's got Sendu, it's got all the guys. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, boys and girls, you know what time it is. It's time for the fail bag. This is the part of the show where it's you and me. This is where things open up, and you got any questions or comments? This is a good time for us to interact a little bit and to talk. And you can pick my brain. Pick my brain. And with that, we're going to kick off with an audio comment from my good buddy Balzac. Kazlab.
Oh, so I'm glad you're enjoying Jack X Combat Racing, and I wouldn't expect your son to be into it, but well, maybe I could expect that, because when this game first came out and I got it was when I was 12 years old, so your son's in that age range, right, where he's able to play more complicated games than Angry Birds. But yeah, the benefit about this game is that if you have two controllers, two players can play on one system. So, you know, I know you're really strapped for time. So if you can, maybe you could use this as an excuse for family time, and your son could play with us, because in all honesty, the game's, you know, Jack X is a lot more fun when you're playing with human characters, or you're not human characters. I mean, human players, rather than us playing with just all comms. So the more the merrier, but I think that's with any game, technically. And don't worry, if he ends up playing with us, I'll go easy on him. Maybe. We'll see about that. And, yeah, let's get this going. And, Hemrock, yeah, let me just, I'm sorry I got your comment confused by thinking that you said complicated when you actually meant to say cumbersome. But, just to reiterate a little bit, you don't really have to connect to your router, straight to your router, in order to make this thing work. You could just, or if your desktop is also in a different room or far away from your consoles, you could just use a laptop if you have one, and just connect to the system, the PS2 or the original Xbox, to that, and then connect wirelessly through the router with your laptop. And then obviously the X-Link Kai software is going to be installed in your laptop. But yeah, it's not a problem really, because the back when the PS2 and original Xbox were online was back when, bandwidth wasn't as prevalent or, not as high. So with the state of our wireless technology now, I don't think you'll experience any lag, even if you're connected wirelessly, far away. But yeah, don't worry. You'll definitely want to play with us after you hear about the fun time me and CF are going to have with this thing. And yeah, CF, if you want to contact me so we can get this thing rolling, I'll attach below this audio comment a Discord link, and we could also do Skype too. My Skype is same as everything else, Caslib208, all one word. And we're friends on Steam too, so if you want to do it that way, we could do that. But I would kind of prefer if we do Discord or Skype, because those are a little bit, easier, or, a lot easier for me to access than Steam. But whichever is better for you. And you're in the East Coast, so remember, we have a 3-hour time difference, and I'm usually available any night, so as long as we can plan one out, I could probably do it. So, yeah, well, we'll definitely figure something out. And then hopefully this will lead to us playing more games like, the original Halo, and I kind of want to try out that Spy vs. Spy game, and, Tony Hawk, that's definitely one I want to check out. And yeah, and Twisted Metal Black. I've been recently getting into Twisted Metal recently, so, Black and Head On for the PS2, and those have been really fun, so I definitely want to try those out if we get the chance. Well, we're going to focus just on Jack X. Let's just focus on playing that before we start jumping off to other things. And yeah, that's it. And yeah, I guess I don't have a question anymore, because I kind of ran out of questions with my other audio comments, so I'll just end this with, let's get this X-Link Kai thing rolling, CF. So I'll see you in the X-Link Kai arena hopefully soon. So till then, bye.
All right, so we return to the subject of X-Link Kai. Playing the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2 over the internet via this routing software. Connect the Ethernet cable from your machine, from your game system, to your computer, and then route through the internet that way using a daisy chain program. All right, so in order to do this, I did a little research. I wanted to get the software. Let's get this program and see what's up. And I found some guides. Gonna have to do some port forwarding in order to make it work. I have to dial into my router, which is just not a difficult thing. You get your router IP, you put it in the browser, you pick a port, all incoming stuff funnels through that port, right? And then you can give that address to your pals, and you do your connections. It can be done, but arrangements have to be made, and I have not yet made those arrangements. I'll have to sit down with my network admin and gain router access in order to do this. So we will reconvene on this next week. But I did go out and check it out and get some steps. My question is, have you ever actually been able to get one of these games going? How did it work? Let me know, because I'm curious to see. Also, the Discord that Balzac set up is listed on the YouTube channel. If you head over to YouTube, it's Tiger Claw Radio episode 254. That was last week. That's got his Discord in it. You guys can check it out and add it, so we can meet up and do some games. All right, Desm101 writes in, I think the Bowsette thing is mostly about fan art and how horny Nintendo fans are for their characters. And he says, lol, at 47 minutes and 10 seconds, I've seen other YouTubers do that retro junk box type mail chain. Seems pretty cool. I think I'm down to add my name. That would be cool, man. That'd be cool. That's 3 of us so far. Right? We need 5, I think, to make it work. I'm telling you what, guys, I started scraping stuff together. It's like, all right, when this box comes my way, what am I going to put in it? And I got to say, I got some pretty cool stuff. I wanted to make sure that whatever it is I decide to take from the box, I want to be able to meet or beat that, Like when you put the old thing of like starting with a paperclip and then trading up and trading and getting better and better and better. So you end up with something really great. I want to make that happen. So definitely want to be putting in something at least as good as I would take out. And I believe I've done exactly that. You'll have to wait until this thing actually happens. We can do a video on the YouTubans and take a look. But I'm excited at the prospect. Thanks for writing in, Desmond. Thanks for being a part of the retro junk box type scenario that we've got going. And big thanks to Hemrock for putting it together, because I think it's a super cool idea. And he's just pioneering the whole thing and just making it happen, which is truly amazing. So if you want to be part of that, head over to TigerClawTV.com, click on the forums. It's the Juice Bar. The Juice Bar is the name of the forums, and we call it the Juice Bar because it was created by Sendu over at Light Studios as a forum to unify several of our sites. Our good buddies over at the Emerald Rangers, emeraldrangers.com, they also use the Juice Bar as their forums as well as the next round. We're all there, so come join us. The forums are a place where you can come and talk, and it's moderated by us. It's not moderated by Google or YouTube or anybody else. So you can really come and rip into people. But the conversation has been nothing but friendly, which I certainly appreciate. Also, over on the Juice Bar, we've been doing some. Actually, let's check that out real quick, and then we're going to return to the comments. Now, we have a topic about high scores, and it's just anything that any game that you enjoy where a score is recorded, just throw it out there, right? Throw it. Why not? And we'll just see if it's a game that somebody else has. Then we can go head to head. Now, there's been some pretty stiff competition in pinball thus far, and I've talked about that in past weeks. I've compiled an op post that has the pinball leaderboard if you want to check out some Space Cadet pinball. But Jerry Terrifying has made a series of posts which I find pretty interesting. He's intentionally trying to play and post about games that none of us are going to compete against him in. So I took that as a challenge. Let's see, specifically Dark Chambers for the Atari 7800. And he posted a score of 382,950. Now, I've never played Dark Chambers for the Atari 7800. Let me back up a step. I've never played the Atari 7800. So I took that as a challenge. And I went out and I got myself an Atari emulator. And I went over to Atari Age and I downloaded Dark Chambers for the Atari. And I loaded it up. And I haven't played it yet, so that's still the high score. But it was not difficult to do, and Atari isn't like Nintendo. The Atari ROMs are readily available. They're distributed on Atari Age as long as they're not Activision, because Activision's not cool with you getting their ROMs, and as long as they're readily available on Atari Age. That is the gold standard for ethical ROMs and emulator usage. So he did that. He also did Food Fight for the 7800 at 171,500. That was his high score. And finally, Alien vs. Predator for the Super Nintendo at 148,100 points. So there's a few high scores. If you want to dust off your 7800 and play some Food Fight, play some Dark Chambers, or if you want to get out Alien vs. Predator for the SNES, pop it in, write your score down, head over to the Juice Bar, and take the crown from Jerry Terrifying. Because right now, he is the 3-time champion of Food Fight, Dark Chambers, and Alien vs. Predator. And let me tell you, he looks pretty cocky up there. I think we got to take him down, guys. Come on, we can do this. All right, boys and girls, we're going to head back to this release from Battle of the Bits. This next one and the final track from this album that I'm going to play, NYS fan account, it's called Fortified. The album is called Puke 40. You can head over to battleofthebits.org, take a look at the right-hand side of the page, find that Bandcamp button and click on it. It's going to take you to their Bandcamp releases. And the most recent release, it's pay what you want. Get yourself a copy. It's a little 8-track mixtape. It's got some chip tunes. It has a few, 2 or 3, actually I think it's like 2. 2 of these tracks are are those Mario Paint Composer tracks, but pretty well done. Those tracks are kind of an enigma to me, but I find them a lot on Battle of the Bits. I wonder if it's the modern day competition troll move. It's like, you want submissions for your competition? That's fine, but it's going to be done with Mario Paint Composer, because that's how I roll. Good album. This album's won me over. It's worth your time. It's worth a write-up over on TigerClawTV.com. Since October hit, I've been back to work, shining the spotlight on different things around in the community that I think, I think are worth your time. Not a whole lot of stuff. Just, hey, man, here's some YouTube videos that I see that I enjoy. I did a very short write-up for Chiptunes Equals Win Volume 7, which, by the way, Chiptunes Equals Win Volume 7, there's a major event when that came out. That's an album that deserves more than it got, at least in the sphere of Tiger Claw Radio. 52 tracks, son. So I did a quick write-up with a link. Really, the link is what's the important part. So you guys can go get yourself a copy and dig some of the chip tunes. Also, I did a quick hot link to my boy Death Adder, who's got episode 39 of the Death Adder Super Show. September got so busy, I kind of fell out of touch just a little bit, so I'm a couple episodes behind. But once my schedule opened up, I was thrilled to see that there was a few episodes waiting for me. So the latest one has Bowsette as the cover girl, and this whole Bowsette thing is a little bit of a head scratcher. But you know what? I'm all right not getting every joke on the internet. I'm okay with it. I've come to terms with it. I was just out at a back-to-school picnic this evening, and I was watching. The other families are out having a good time. I was there with my family, and a lot of the kids were doing these dances that they saw in Fortnite. You guys know what I'm talking about? There's like the floss dance and all that came from the game Fortnite. I don't get it. Fortnite is a freaking battle royale game. That's a game with all the shootings. I never would have been allowed to play Fortnite as a kid. As a matter of fact, I distinctly remember when I was 15 years old. I must have been 15 years old. Maybe I was 16. I don't know. I was sitting at my computer playing Quake. I was playing the original Quake, and I was connected to the internet through AOL. And I was playing online. And my mom, for whatever reason, was sitting down with me, and she was looking over my shoulder. Not looking over my shoulder like trying to get away with, not like trying to make it so I didn't notice. But she was just hanging out with me. Let's just see what you're up to. And man, let me tell you, she did not approve of the original Quake. She really got upset, man. She got upset and she locked it down. She got really pissed. She was like, I don't want you playing these kinds of games anymore. And that was with the original Quake. Now, let's be fair. The original Quake was a violent game. All right? Graphics aside, it was violent thematically, and it was violent in, thematically. I can only imagine playing Fortnite with voice chat, with the inclusion of being able to actually openly discuss with the rabble. I can only imagine. I gotta call my mom up and see if she wants to hang out. Put on some Fortnite. Make this happen. Just see what she thinks. And well, with that, you know what that sound is. It feels really early to wrap up TCR. We're getting ready to cross the 50-minute mark. And like every other episode has been pushing an hour 15 or something like that. Wow, but this is, almost an hour long. I am exhausted. But what a week it's been. I feel like it's been a great week. It really has. I got to play some Magic the Gathering. I got to play some Shadow Warrior 2. I got a free top-notch game from GOG.com. I got to listen to some awesome podcasting. By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Fastcast. Sendu's got a podcast called the Fastcast, which he did with the Retro Kaiser, and it's great to hear him doing podcasting again. Sendu is one of us. He is one of us, and it's awesome to hear him back at it. So I don't know how I'm going to get you the link to that right now, because there's no way in a million years I'll remember it. But just you guys know Sendu. I'm going to try and get this up on TigerClawTV.com as quick as I can. so you can check out his premiere episode. In the meantime, this isn't about Sendu, and it's not about me, it's about you. All right? Whatever has brought you here 50 minutes in to Tiger Claw Radio, I want you to know that I appreciate the time you spent here. Time is a valuable currency, and I'm appreciative of what you spend here with me. And whatever you've got going on in your life, if you're struggling to make it to work today, then struggle harder. Fight it. Don't stop. If you're out of work and you're at home and you're really feeling it, let me tell you, man, you got to keep hanging on. Keep doing it. Keep fighting. Keep struggling. Keep driving to work. Keep getting those applications out. Keep getting to school. Keep doing whatever you got to do to keep that head above water. Because let me tell you, when you go to sleep tonight and you know that you fought as hard as you can, never mind if things went your way. If you know that you fought that fight, then you did all right, man. And let me tell you, I'm rooting for you. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.